Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new to this channel, I am Ndalenga and I am the founder of There Is Still Hope. There Is Still Hope is a place where we encourage people to move away from past sorrows and move on and embrace a life that matters. Well, if you're new, please do subscribe and become part of the family. To my subscribers, thank you for joining me again today and stay tuned. Well guys, I am back and I'm back with a new topic. And by the way, I'm not alone, I'm joined by somebody. We're talking about redefining the past. And we're not just talking about any past, we're talking about an ugly past. A past that have left a negative impact in your life. Sometimes how we feel today, how we behave and how we deal with things is actually influenced by the negative past that we had. We're looking into this today. Stay tuned. There are three most important profound questions that everyone should ask themselves in life. Questions such as, who am I? Where am I coming from? And where am I going? Hence the importance of redefining our past, especially if that past is an ugly past and it's still having an influence on us today. Well guys, I'm not going to be discussing this topic alone. I have someone who's joining me to just bring a lot of details to this topic. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Beata. I'm excited to have you here and I look forward to the discussion. Kindly introduce yourself.
I'm pleased to be here. Hi viewers, my name is Beata. Namene is my middle name and I prefer that. I am a registered nurse by profession, gospel artist. I do creative writings as well, and I love poetry, so I am many things at once. That's me in a nutshell.
Welcome, and thank
Thank
you for joining me once again. Beata, we are talking about redefining the past. What exactly are we saying?
In order for you to redefine something, there must be something that has happened in a negative way that has left a bad impact. So I would like to think that in that traumatic experience that you have encountered, you now start to realize that it had left a sort of a gap within your life, and you want to start looking at it in a very different way that no longer affects you in a negative way, that no longer sort of leave a mark or still make you feel the hurt or the pain that you've experienced.
Redefining it, healing it, and making it manageable so that it does not have to affect your decisions, have to affect your way of life, and
Absolutely.
the way you look or perceive life in general. Why do you think it's important for us to redefine the past? Why is it important?
I think the significance of it lies in making peace with your past experience, and it's very important because then it enables you to live life on a purpose. You're only able to regain your identity and realize and recognize who you are and be able to operate within the all supreme power that you're created within when you are yourself. And in most instances, when a bad experience or something bad has happened to you, it's most likely that you lose a sense of being and you begin to live an imposter sort of life. But when you make peace with your past experience, then you regain the power that you had lost, and you are able to excel in many ways, operate within your gifts, within your talents, and within your superiority.
So we are not ignoring what happened in the past. We are not saying that it shouldn't hurt. It's a mind shift, it's a mind change. Whatever happened, but we have to redefine it within ourselves to be able to act from who we truly are, our sense of self. Well, Beata, let's get to zoom into your own life. We want to understand. We are talking about moving away from an ugly past, making peace with it, so that our present cannot be influenced by our past. Had you ever encountered a past that you had struggled to let go? Tell us a little bit about it. How it affected you and how you actually managed to work through it.
Absolutely. I think all of us have had such an encounter. If we haven't yet, it's still coming. So, for me personally, I've had an encounter where I fell in love with my best friend, and it was such a horrible experience. Looking at who I am as an individual with so many don'ts and do's, I couldn't fathom what was happening internally, and also being so secretive. I really didn't look up to anyone for advice, and I didn't understand what was going on. So I somehow internalized it, and until it got to a very, very worse extent where I just wanted to continuously block all the thoughts as they come, and I began to fantasize about all this thing. You know, when women, we love connections, and you begin to fantasize and fantasize until you even already get married to this person.
In your mind, yeah.
It was such a very terrible experience because of who I am, I believe, because I had so many don'ts and do's, and I think that shaped how I felt in that moment, because then I was trying to fight the emotion. So it's more like I was fighting normality, and I didn't understand what was normality then, because my understanding was that a woman is not the one to propose and a man is. So me having to have those feelings, and I even started to fantasize, and I felt like, this is so abnormal, this is so weird, this is not so me. Like, I was asking, what's going on? I know this is not me, and I've been this person that for me, like, I had my standards and principles, and I'm always like, if I tell myself I won't do something, I won't do it. And I just didn't understand what was happening in that moment, and I think that really had a very big impact, because the more I tried to fight the thoughts, the more it worsens, and the more I became so stressed, so anxious, so afraid, and it was really consuming.
Okay, what emotions was developed through that encounter that you still see manifesting today in your life?
I think bitterness, hatred, and resentment were the most one that I really had struggled to, to come through them, because then in that moment I felt betrayed, I felt sort of humiliated, I felt lied to, mostly rejected. So in that moment, I would even go to God and pray and say, Lord, I just want you to put this person in the same shoes. It's very funny. And I would also go back and say, Lord, you know that even if you do this, I'm still gonna seeing him go through that. So it was that bad, because of hatred, anger, and resentment. I wanted so much to avenge. I wanted to fight. I don't know what I wanted to fight against, but that's how I felt. I felt like I was led on. I felt like I was lied to. I felt like
felt betrayed.
I felt betrayed. I really felt so vulnerable and fragile, and I was very, very sensitive to every little thing that was happening, just because of that incident.
That incident that you just explained, did it change the way you look at yourself?
I think in that moment, absolutely, I felt, like I said, rejected, but I also questioned myself. Yes, I would look myself and say, am I not that beautiful? Though I really believe that I am, but in that moment I didn't see it, because I'm like, why am I not so visible? What am I supposed to do, to just let this person see that the beauty is here?
Exactly.
So I questioned that. I also started somehow to blame myself and feel guilty about certain things, because people will always make remarks, and somehow they eventually go back to make you feel guilty, or say certain things that they feel like it's because you didn't do this that this had to happen. So in that moment, I was really so fragile that when those words are mentioned, they really got to me, and I really felt like, yes, Beata, if you wouldn't have done this, it wouldn't have happened this way.
What are the triggers that arose from that event that still triggers you today?
I won't really say I have triggers, but I would say that in most instances when people that knows the person, they start talking about the person, or they show me certain pictures maybe, or talk about something, I always feel like, oh, okay, you know, that's happening. I somehow still feel like, yeah, what really happened? Like, I want to have that conversation and say, dude, what went wrong?
You're looking for closure.
Like, sort of looking for closure, just thinking that clarity would make things change. Not always, but I'm just like, I somehow, sometimes, especially maybe few months back, I would go in that position where I'm like, when those things happen, or somebody talks about the person, or they just tell me what the person is doing, I go back and I'm like, but really, what happened? This was a good friendship and it just really just went like that. So what really went wrong? I get there.
Okay. Did that also change the view that you have towards other men?
Absolutely not. Funny enough, I never believed in love growing up, so I also couldn't explain why.
What do you mean?
Like, I never thought I was going to be in a relationship ever in my life, and I used to joke about being a nun, but I think in as much as I used to joke about it, I think I really sort of really did mean it from within me, and I think that's another discussion maybe where I grew up, but I never really believed in. I saw men as strange, weird people that are not safe to be around with. Yeah, I don't know where I have really absorbed that from, but I think I could relate from where I grew up. I grew up with guys, and we used to watch scary movies and pornographic events, and I think it really, and that was at very early age, I think when I was in grade 2, and so I think it just distorted my memory on who men really are. So I never really believed in love. That's why I think for that incident, it made it really difficult for me, because now I was trying to question nature, because I was trying to question what is really going, this is not so me, like what's going on.
Would you say you healed from what happened to you?
Of course, I would say that healing, yes, I have healed, because back then there would be days where something just happened all of a sudden, or maybe related to a certain event, then I would really get just angry and anxious, and it would still be somehow related to that, and I would still somehow get resented in most instances. But I think now I don't get that. I would still be hurt even if people speak about this person back then. Like, why are you bringing up this person? Like, are we even supposed to be talking about this person? But now, I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's a story of the past, and people can discuss and talk about that person, but like nothing really moves within me. Like,
When you get to see this specific person, how do you feel?
I can't explain.
But it's not hatred, it's not fear,
no.
nothing negative?
Nothing negative, no fear, no hatred. I can't explain, but I would say that when I meet that person, I can say that it's one of the triggers as well, that I still go back to the past and still look for closure somehow. That like, in most instances when I meet this person and he eventually leaves before we even talk, I'm always like, why did you have to come and just go like that? I mean, I always feel like if we had spoken in that moment, it would be better. That's how I feel in most instances.
So you still feel like he owes you a conversation?
Probably. Just to hear what materialized, but it doesn't really change anything within me, or it doesn't make me feel hatred, or I don't feel any pain any longer. Back then I would still hate and say, Jude, you betrayed me, you know.